risotto. That's risotto with a ton of spinach pesto that you stir in at the end. It makes it very green. Up on top, we're going to put some nice beefy portobello mushrooms. I allow 1 large portobello cap per person, and then I buy a couple of extras. So this is enough for 4 people. We have 2 cups of arborio short grain rice, toasting up in a pan with a small onion and some garlic and a little bit of EVOO, a little salt and pepper action. That's going to be enough for 4 generous entree portions of risotto. To go on top, you're going to need 5 or 6 portobellos. And I just slice them right across, nice and thick like that. And I've got a pan getting warm down here. We're going to put in a combination of a little EVOO, dab of butter. Let those 2 melt in together. And I'm going to put 1 cracked clove of garlic in there. And that'll infuse and make all of the oil and butter taste nice and garlicky and delicious. Once the mushrooms are all cooked up, we'll season them just simply with salt and pepper and hit them with a little aged balsamic. This is coming along nicely. Our rice is nice and toasty. So we're going to add a little shot of white wine. I see what kind of people you are. About a 1/2 cup of dry white wine. Now, in my family, I drink mostly red wine, but I always have a good quality white wine on hand for cooking because I use it so often in cooking. Keep it in the fridge and you can use it for several recipes worth of good flavor. Little tang in the background there. Now, once all of that is absorbed, you can start adding your liquids. Now, again, I have about 2 cups of arborio in here, and I have 1 quart of stock plus 2 cups of water, 6 cups of liquid total. And you're going to keep adding a ladle full in at a time, a couple of ladles. And then you give it a stir, and that's what gives it the creamy consistency. It's not cream, it's the starch from the rice that develops when you stir it. You don't have to stand here and stir it constantly, but every time you add liquid, give it a little stir, and then let those liquids fully absorb before you add more. Total time should take you about 18, 20 minutes, in that ballpark. So it's not a real labor-intensive thing. Our garlic's bubbling away, so I'm going to go ahead and add our mushrooms in down here. Oh, you're mushroom lovers too. All right. Now down here, while all that's working over there, we're going to make a spinach pesto minus the garlic because we already have the garlic working in the pan in our risotto. I'm going to stuff. Now, you may need to do this in a couple of processes. I'm going to stuff the food processor with a ton of spinach. You're going to use 2 pounds of spinach to make the risotto for this. So you're getting a lot of vitamins out of this meal. Then I'm going to pour in a little bit of stock, either chicken or vegetable, depending on what version you're making. A couple of handfuls of grated Parmigiano Reggiano. Handful of toasted pine nuts. Your nose will know when they're done. Just put them in a dry skillet and let the flavor develop, and they'll get even nuttier than they were born. And then you grate in a little nutmeg. Nutmeg and spinach or greens of any kind really is so fantastic together. A little salt and pepper. Over the shoulder for luck. Pop the lid on. And then drizzle in just a little bit of EVOO. That's why I use the stock in there, so you don't need a ton of oil to make it come together. And then once it gets going like this, you can fit the rest of your spinach in. Eventually, you'll be able to fit all 2 pounds of it down in there. Yeah, let's see how our mushrooms are doing. Lovely. Give our risotto a little stir here. Risotto is one of those things where you can get the arborio right in the regular grocery store. And it's one of those things that I really love to teach on 30-minute meals or here because people order it often in restaurants and they think it's so fancy or labor-intensive, and it's not. It's really just rice, you know? It's a poor person's dinner. It's a great way to stretch a buck and be fancy without a lot of high maintenance. And you can serve it as a wonderful starter or a hearty entree. So I'm pulling out my cracked clove of garlic. My beefy, beautiful portobellos have gotten nice and dark, and it's at that point that I season them up with a little salt. If you season the mushrooms with salt before they brown, they take a little longer to brown because salt draws out liquid, and the liquid slows down the browning process. So wait till they're already brown before you season them up with a little salt and pepper. And then we're going to add some of that lovely aged balsamic and let them just kind of glaze up for a bit. Mmm. Yeah. And this is a meal that would please a meat eater and a meat freer alike. So if you're having some friends over that are vegetarian, or you're a family that deals with people that are vegetarian and non-vegetarians all in the same house, it's a great meal that just pleases everybody. And it's also a lovely starter course. You can serve it as a first course or as a beautiful entree. Look how gorgeous those look, as good as any steak. Gorgeous. So I wanted to show you this. We got down to the very end of the pot, and there was like a half a cup of liquid left that I just didn't need. When the risotto has a nice bite to it, and it looks creamy like this from all of the stirring you've been doing, you're done. Don't feel forced to keep adding liquid. You want it to have a little al dente, a little nice something going on right at the center of the short grain rice. Don't cook it until it's too mushy, you know what I mean? Then give a little taste test to your spinach pesto before you stir it down in. I decided I could use just a hint more nutmeg, so I grated a little extra down in there. I'm just going to stir it in. And then right when you're ready to serve, because you don't want to lose that beautiful green color from the fresh spinach. 2 pounds of fresh spinach, a handful of pine nuts, toasted pine nuts, a couple of handfuls of Parmigiano Reggiano. We already had the garlic and onion in here. And you stir that all in together, and it has this beautiful bright green vegetable-laden appearance. Now that's some green risotto. Popeye would be proud. So to serve it up, you take your big ladle, a couple of big old spoonfuls of the spinach risotto. Grab your skillet, take some big, beefy, beautiful mushrooms. Pile those right in the center. It is such a simple and elegant, tasty menu. Oh, you know what? I was having a conversation with somebody the other day, and I was telling them I was writing a recipe called Popeye risotto with a lot of spinach, and they said, they're lucky they're not still making Popeye, because Olive Oil would have to change your name to EVOO. Funny. So there you go, kids. That's a looker, huh? Gorgeous.